Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Let's go a little closer. If you all want to come a little closer, I don't mind. I won't bite. Can you? Pitaji's, Mataji's. Yeah. Jai Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girvaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girvaradhari. Oh! Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Oh, put it up there. Oh, oh. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Oh. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girvaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girvaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Put up there. Oh! Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. You Hriday, son, right? I remember you. Bus tour, right? Audible. Hare Krishna. Today we're looking at Canto 10, Chapter 87, the Prayers of the Personified Vedas, and it's text number 38. Hare Krishna. It's a very long verse here. Do you mind if we just go to the word by word? Is that all right? Saha, he, the individual living entity. Yet, because, Ajaya, by the influence of the material energy. To, but, Ajam, that material energy. Anushayita, lies down next to. Gunan, her qualities. Cha, and. Jushan, assuming. Bhajati, he takes on. Sarupatam, forms resembling the qualities of nature. Tat anu, following that. Mrityum, death. Apeta, deprived. Bhagaha, of his assets. Tvam, you. Uta, on the other hand. Jahasi, leave aside. Tam, her, the material energy. Ahi, a snake. Eva, as if. Twacham, its old discarded skin. Atabagaha, endowed with all assets. Mahasi, and your spiritual powers. Mahiyase, you are glorified. Ashtagunite, eightfold. Aparimeya, unlimited. Bhagaha, whose greatness. Translation. The illusory material nature attracts the minute living entity to embrace her. And as a result, he assumes forms composed of her qualities. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities and must undergo repeated deaths. You, however, avoid the material energy in the same way that a snake abandons its old skin. Glorious in your possession of 8 mystic perfections, you enjoy unlimited opulences. Should we repeat that? What's the usual format? Yeah, okay. The illusory material nature attracts the minute living entity to embrace her. And as a result, he assumes forms composed of her qualities. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities and must undergo repeated deaths. You, however, avoid the material energy in the same way that a snake abandons its old skin. Glorious in your possessions of 8 mystic perfections, You enjoy unlimited opulences. And purport by the Srila Prabhupada's devotees, Hare Krishna. Okay, although the jiva is pure spirit, qualitatively equal with the Supreme Lord, he is prone to being degraded by embracing the ignorance of material illusion. When he becomes entranced by the allurements of Maya, he accepts bodies and senses that are designed to let him indulge in forgetfulness. Produced from the raw material of Maya's three modes, goodness, passion, and nescience, these bodies envelop the spirit soul in varieties of unhappiness, culminating in death and rebirth. The Supreme Soul and the individual soul share the same spiritual nature, but the Supreme Soul cannot be entrapped by ignorance like his infinitesimal companion. Smoke may engulf the glow of a small molten sphere of copper, covering its light in darkness. But the vast globe of the sun will never suffer the same kind of eclipse. Maya, after all, is the personality of Godhead's faithful maid-servant, the outward expansion of his internal Yoga Maya potency. Sri Narada Pancharatra thus states in a conversation between Shruti and Vidya, Asya avarika shaktir mahamaya kileshwari yaya mugdang jagat sarvam sarve diha bhimaninaha. The covering potency derived from her is Mahamaya, the regulator of everything material. Well, the entire universe becomes bewildered by her, and thus every living being falsely identifies with his material body. Just as a snake casts aside his old skin, knowing that it is not part of his essential identity, so the Supreme Lord always avoids his external material energy. There is no insufficiency or limit to any of his eightfold mystic opulences, consisting of Anima, the power to become infinitesimal, Mahima, the ability to become infinitely large, and so on. Therefore, the shadow of material darkness has no scope for entering the domain of his unequaled, resplendent glories. For the sake of those whose realization of spiritual life is only gradually awakening, the Upanishads sometimes speak in general terms of Atma or Brahman, not only distinguishing the difference between the superior and inferior souls, the Paramatma and Jivatma, but often enough they describe this duality in unequivocal terms. A little bit more. Haribol. Dva Suparna Suyuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate Toyor Anya Pibalam Sadvyati Anashnan Anyo Vichakshita Shiti. Two companion birds sit together in the shelter of the same pipala tree. One of them is relishing the taste of the tree's berries, while the other refrains from eating and instead watches over his friend. That's from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 4:6. In this analogy, the two birds are the soul and the super soul. The tree is the body, and the taste of the berries are the varieties of sense pleasure. Sridhar Swami prays, Nrityanti Tava Vikshanangana Gata Kala Swabhavaradbir Bhavan Satvarajas Tamo Gunamayan Anmilayanti Bahun Mam Akramya Pada Shirshyasati Brahm Samaradayantya Turang. Wow. Mayate Sharanangatosmi Nrihari Tvam Evam Tam Varya. The glance you cast upon your consort comprises time, the material propensities of the living entities, and so on. This glance dances upon her face, thus awakening the multitude of created entities who take birth in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. O Lord Nrihari, your Maya has put her foot on my head and is pressing down extremely hard, causing me great distress. Now I've come to you for shelter. Please make her desist. Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Prabhus, and it's very nice to be here. It's my first time here to Radhadesh. I'm loving it. And I just want to say that a few of us devotees, Shanti Priya is from Suriname, and two other devotees from the Netherlands, originally from India, and a few others. I've just finished embarking upon a walk across the Netherlands, and we had a great time. It was wonderful. We were dealing with the illusory energy, which is what everyone does, that's trapped in this body, these bodies. We were very fortunate. We didn't have any rain, really, which is some other. Krishna, Haribol, thank you. Not that that matters so much, because if you're walking in rain, you just have to learn detachment. Rain, snow, wind, sun, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Seeking to gain detachment from this world. Okay, so the statement here by the personified Vedas is acknowledging the Supreme, who's never really touched by material energy. Like that bird that is not getting fruitive, but that bird that is watching. I'm sure you've probably all seen footage of birds, great birds of prey especially, that sit on their perch and they're just looking around, where can I find something, you know, before they make their flight, swoop down and have their Sunday feast, love feast. Yeah, so Krishna is a little bit like that. He is just quite aloof, though, from the material energy. He's watching and waiting, as is the super soul, watching and waiting for us to surrender. Our program is to surrender. That's what it's all about. In Krishna, we're here to surrender. To not just take shelter of a nice building with beautiful, high ceilings and ornamented like anything, but and to be protected from the elements such as the cold and the rain and all that, but we're here to take shelter, like really take shelter. Sweet surrender is what it is. That's the word. I think that we like that word, surrender, isn't it? I was on one of the walks that I did across Canada, and a journalist came along. And that happened quite a lot, too, in this walk. Journalists came by and asked questions. So they always do a good job because they share what our message is all about. Hare Krishna goes out there to thousands of people every time they write something. So this one woman who is kind of a New Ager person, she asked a lot of questions about what's the purpose of the walk, why are you doing it, and she asked about Bhakti Yoga, what do you get out of it, what's it supposed to bring you to? And I was wanting to say surrender, but I thought maybe it's a harsh word. And surrender means you have to give up. Okay, I surrender to the enemy, raising the white flag and all that. I give in. It can be very humiliating. But so I said, well, what my answer to the question is, I was struggling with it a little bit. I don't know why, but I just said, well, the idea is to surrender. I said, oh, you mean, she jumped in and said, oh, you mean sweet surrender? That made it sound so good. It changed the whole meaning of the word, sweet surrender, SS. So surrender means just letting go, letting God, letting Krishna. But when you put a little adjective to it like sweet, it turns the whole thing around. And then if you actually get to the point of surrender, you're wondering, well, why was I waiting? Why was I holding back? What's the matter with me? So it shall get sweet at some point. It should get, the closer we get to the crushing of the ego, the closer we get to identifying these three energies that are discussed over and over again in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Sattvagun means mindfulness, or to be thoughtful. Rajagun means to be restless. Tamagun means to be in darkness and ignorance. These things have been haunting us forever. You celebrate Halloween here very much? Halloween? To some degree? Yeah, I think it's growing. It's a phenomenon that's growing. Yeah, in the West, in North America, it's just as popular as Christmas practically. Yeah. So it's about haunting ghosts and witches and all these kind of things. It's a sort of a negative side. So we have been haunted for a long time by these three modes of material nature. And they're very powerful. Daivi Shigunamayi, Mama Maya Duratya. We've heard that before, right? They're very insurmountable. They're like crossing major mountain ranges. Difficult. Difficult for devotees. Doesn't matter how long you've been around. Doesn't matter how long you've been chanting Hare Krishna. Doesn't matter how much seniority you have. Maya's right there. But hopefully, we've developed some kind of taste, some ruchi, that it makes it less painful. It is painful to try to surrender. But if we've developed a little bit of a taste from it all, service, like somebody asked me the other day, okay, now that you're finished this nectarine, about finishing this walk, what's next? What's the next big project? I said, well, it doesn't really matter. Everything that Prabhupada has given to us is pretty ecstatic. It's pretty wonderful. Everything. And one of the boys that was walking with us, he's from Canada also, and he was just asking very frankly, how to overcome the tendency to think and to overthink. That's a big problem for a lot of people, to overthink. Right? They said, well, there's this one saint. There's a young boy, his name's Prahlad, and he gave us 9 different practices. 9. That's, that keeps you pretty busy. Okay, the first one, Shravanam, which means to listen. And there's a saying by our indigenous people in the Americas, they say, never let your never let you've got 2 ears. And you've got 1 mouth. Shouldn't we spend more time with this than with this? All right? Never let your tongue get in the way of the 2 ears, is the saying. Okay, now, well, what about the tongue? Can you do anything with it? Or is it just a monster? Well, you can do something with it, and that is the next program. Kirtanam. Repeat that which is worth repeating. Now, there's a lot of people are saying a lot of things out there, but they're not worth repeating, isn't it? Outside the things that people say, my God. Okay. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Remembering, recalling the good things that have happened in your life, the things that have helped you to gain a leap of faith. Remembering those things. Perhaps sometimes you like to remember what it was like when you first met a devotee. Yesterday we were in Arnhem, is that the name of the place? Arnhem? And our wonderful devotee, Amala Bhakti. She's kind of a free-spirited Mataji, if you know what I mean. She was great. And we were walking in the streets, and she stopped us in one street. Wait. I said, what are we waiting for? This is where I met my first devotee. I got my first book. And the devotee piled on me so many books. I didn't have enough to pay for them all. So he was slowly taking them back. And she went on and on. It was a great moment for her. Like, she was very much in the present. And she was really relishing it, the recollection of it all. And she went on and on for a bit. And I remember, I asked you, I said, why are we waiting here? I said, she's explaining her ecstasy. All right, okay, all right. So those were great moments when you first came in touch with Krishna. The moment of self-realization is to be cherished. It's to be kept in a locket. Treasure chest maybe, and maybe open it up once in a while. We have to do that. That's what we mean by smaranam. A recollection of the good things, the spiritual moments, right? Smaranam. Padasevanam, being humble. Another thing that our young, lawyer in training was asking, so what would be some of the qualities of the leadership? Because we got into talking about the kind of leadership that is running our world these days. Said, well, why don't we try humility? Wouldn't that be a great change? So how does that come about? By performing acts of humility. How do you really conjure up humility? Meekness. Well, kind of do it. Just do it. I mean, some of us are getting a little older, but, if you have the chance, clean the toilet. I mean, I have to admit, I'm flying somewhere, and if I go to the toilet, in the plane, and I see there's stuff there, I'll just take a few minutes to take the tissue, put a little water on it, wipe it a little carefully, and then let it go down the drain, okay? I don't know who it belongs to, but I feel better. I feel better from relieving myself from all this. So humility is something that's really brings about a good feel. And who doesn't want to have a good feeling? Yes? How many? Everybody want to feel good? Yes, Mataji? You feel good? Okay. Yes. So therefore, you perform it. Put it in action, into the world of action. Do acts of humility. Then you'll feel humble. Otherwise, I think it's hard to conjure. I was wondering, Padasevanam, Archanam, worshipping something that's worth honoring. I think everybody has some role model or some idol, some icon that they were, isn't it? if you talk about young people, like you ask a young person, who do you idolize? And then they'll give a list of names. It's, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm just too old. But it is in our nature to have the heroes in our life, superheroes. You know, you've heard them all before. Spider-Man, you know, Batman, Aquaman, everything, and even Hanuman. They're all out there, and they're there for us. And we've all observed how kids cling on to superheroes, right? And it's not a bad thing. The popular superheroes out there, usually, like they carry some good traits, I would say, good qualities. Most of them are not married. They're kind of detached. But there's a sort of girlfriend around there somewhere. But there's a detachment. They're there also to save those in distress. You know, chapter 4 from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna talks about his own heroism. You know, what does he say? Paritranaya sadhanam. I'm there to protect those who are needing my help, the sadhus. Vinashya chadushkritam. I'm there to subdue the wrongdoers, the monsters out there. And then finally he gives something, now that he's established a kind of peace and shanti, then what else? He gives some, he helps to establish peace and to preserve the peace through acts of dharma. I give codes of life that you can follow, codes to follow, codes to overcome the modes. And so 3 acts of heroism. Now, we're not God. We're not Krishna, unless if there's, I'm missing something here. Are there any avatars here? Do you have any avatars here in this room? Apart from, you know. Okay. But we can certainly play the role, not that we are God, but we can follow the same suit. We can try to rescue people. That's the business of Sankirtan. We can help those who are needing help, and there's a lot of help needed. We can certainly try to correct those who are doing the wrong things. And certainly we can instill in the minds and hearts of people a sense of following those levels of etiquette, you know, some codes of conduct, which are very important that help us in our life. Another thing that I was talking to this young lawyer in the making about, the training starts really young. Or one who wants to be a fantastic leader. It starts when you're not in the prime of your life, but when you're very young. Perhaps that is the prime. The formative years is probably the prime. If you've, let's say, missed on the prime of life or the formative years, you've missed. It's so hard to catch up later on. I think you understand what I'm saying. If you got some good training, and you've got a lot of good, you know, let's say, guidance from parents, teachers, and that kind of thing, which was very more common in the 50s, I think, when I grew up. Then you've got a good head start. But if you miss those opportunities, if you were brought up under difficult and hard circumstances, then it's very hard to catch up later on. It's really hard to change habits. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. That's the idea. Okay, so everyone should be a hero in Krishna consciousness. Those who engage in the Sankirtan movement are some kind of hero. They're doing something for the world. I mean, I joined Krishna consciousness. I had lots of options out there. I was a fine arts student. I said, nah. I looked at what was going on around me, people getting into the corporate world. Nah. I was raised in a farm community, and every summer we'd work in the orchards, and it was okay, but nah. What am I going to do? I just want to do something that will help people, on more of a social level. I thought I was going to spend a lot of time with indigenous people way in the north. They have their issues, their problems. And wherever there's issues, there's tissues. Yeah. And so I met devotees. I thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. The ultimate welfare work. Rupa Goswami speaks about the ultimate welfare work. Srila Prabhupada translates the nectar of devotion. The ultimate wellness is to get yourself fixed up in Krishna consciousness and then be an example to others. And examples are really important. Proper behavior means a lot. It's a lot more important than a sermon, than a lecture, as we sometimes say, or a talk. One of my favorite phrases from St. Francis of Assisi was, he said, preach and use some words if you have to. So what that means then is, through your actions, you be a teacher. Show proper behavior. So that's how we overcome Maya. Daivi Shigunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mam Evaye Prabhadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. The first part of that shloka from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, oh, it's so tough. So difficult to take up the surrendering process, to overcome those modes. But in the second half, there's hope. Finally, great. But those who take shelter of the Lord, the source of these material energies, can overcome. There are some verses like that in the Gita, where it's contradictory. Krishna says, I'm there for everybody. I'm there for everybody. But I'm especially there for equally I'm there for everybody. But I'm especially there for the devotees, those who are engaged in devotional service. Might sound contradictory. What's so nice about Krishna consciousness is that we are supposed to try to accommodate contrary, let's say, statements, be able to embrace them both at the same time. Anyways, in terms of embracing, we've all been embracing Maya for a long time, many, many lifetimes. The jiva soul goes through different bodies and is exploring like anything. And, like now I've got a body of skin, but before this I had a body of hair and fur. And before that I probably had a body of scales. Before that I had a body of, pins, but like porcupines, Like such a variety, It's like when you buy a coat, what kind of coat will it, So the jiva is exploring and trying on different coats, not really getting satisfied with any of them. Nothing really does it for you. There isn't one coat that's good for all occasions, except for the one that we achieve when we get moksha. Then everything's okay. Haribol. But to get there, it's a big job. It's a big job. Big job. And the way for that job to become somewhat lightened is that, the best answer you give to almost any questions that come along in Krishna consciousness is have good sangha, have good company, have good association. Yeah, that's what changes it all. Sometimes people ask me too, what do you do when you're kind of down and out and you're not feeling up to it, you're just really in a slump? And I said, well, I might call somebody on the phone. One of those people, one of those devotees who are, have a zest for life. They're just positive, optimistic, upbeat. That's the one beautiful thing about Srila Prabhupada. He was always upbeat. And there's only two ways to be in life: upbeat or beat up. And it's your choice, really. It's up to you, and all based on the company you keep. So we can do that for others. We can be a hero by simply being good company for others. Be there for people. And when this overthinking problem happens that is so common amongst folks these days, it just means maybe you're alone too much. Maybe you need to be with someone else. Take up a project together. So that's one of the worst things. Very, very common problem in the world now is loneliness. And when there's loneliness, what comes along is diseases, mental disease. When you overthink, you get mental. And when there's problems on this level, it's going to affect you physically, and you're done. So therefore, let us prescribe. Now, let's go down the list once more. I'll revisit Prahlad Maharaj's statements. We left off at, I went off on a trail, a tangent. Taking notes? Yes. Arjanam, yes. So honor the great, worship them, and I just get to know who the real heroes are. Arjanam. Vandanam, pray. Pray. Yes, pray. There's different ways to pray according to the modes of nature. You can pray. There's some people who pray and their very intent is, let me make someone else miserable. I hate that person. They might make a doll of that image and do voodoo it, And then there's people who pray for, treat God like a businessman. I've been very good to you, and now I deserve this and that, this and that, this and that. Okay, and then there's a prayer in the mode of goodness, where you're wishing well for others. You're praying to be strong in Krishna consciousness. Those are, the spirit of gratitude. Those kind of prayers. There's different prayers in three modes, for sure. And in Vishuddha Sattva Guna as well. Okay, so praying is important. Everyone agrees? Everyone's okay? Prayer is good. After all, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it is a prayer. Oh my dear Lord, give me some service. Then someone gives you service. Well, I wasn't thinking about that. Okay, there has to be a nice mode behind prayer. Okay, Vandanam. And then we've got Dasyam. Again, be ready to serve others. Maybe you could think about doing something special every day for one or two extra people that you wouldn't otherwise. That helps. That's a big cure. Because you're going to need help, but someone else needs help now. And you help them, and they'll help you when you need help. The worst thing is to be on the highway, and you're by yourself, and you get a flat tire. Oh, there's no spare tire or whatever. These are tough times. And there's Sakyam, make a friend every day. Even the person that he says, I don't think I want to befriend so-and-so over there. I don't like the vibes. But once you go there and make a little effort, you break the ice and you made a friend. And if you're always living in a place full of friends, it makes Krishna consciousness so much easier. Okay, and then there's Atmanivedanam, just letting go. Let go. Let go. Not long, 2 months ago, I was in Nunavut. You know where that is? It's way up in Canada, beyond the tree line. There's no trees. There's not even bushes. It's just, they don't grow there. It's rock and tundra. And once in a while, I went to visit the capital city there in Nunavut. Once in a while, a bit polar bear comes in there. He comes into town. He's looking for something to eat. And they're like the most vicious predators on planet Earth. You know, they have a saying, here's a mantra for you. Because, you know, we met bears on our walks, you know. Black bears, brown bears, and white bears. So if it's brown, you lie down. If it's if it's black, you start with the black. If it's black, you fight back. If it's brown, you lie down. If it's white, good night. They're just they're pretty vicious, you know. So we've done these little workshops called the 9 Devotions, and it's very interactive and it's a fun experience. And the last one is Atma Nivedanam. So I usually ask the participants, please lie down on the floor, just relax, just look up towards the ceiling, close your eyes, and just be in the mood of let go, like real surrender. And then I paint a picture. Okay, just imagine you're on an iceberg and that there's you and one other living entity, a hungry polar bear. And it is inevitable what's going to happen. Might as well not fight the situation, just let go. I know it's kind of a graphics scenario, but I mean, you have to have something to work with. So that's the idea, is to, let go. And this is what the message is here today. And finally, I just want to zero in again on the last. Haribol, how are you? So Sridhar Swami says this, and I think it's just a beautiful verse. The glance you cast upon your consort comprises time, the material propensities of the living entities, and so on. This glance dances upon her face, thus awakening the multitude of created entities who take birth in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. O Lord Nrihari, your Maya has put her foot on my head and is pressing down extremely hard, causing me great distress. Now I have come to you for shelter. Please make her desist. So we're asking Maya to back off. I've had enough. And if we haven't had enough, then okay, we'll get more. And when is it going to be enough? I think you have to let Krishna know about that. So, and this remedy comes about by just being in the right company. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. All right. What's yours? I don't know how long we're supposed to go till, but can anybody tell me? Prabhu, you seem to know what's going on.
Can go 10, 15 minutes with questions.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Si, senor.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful lecture.
One minute. We have audience online.
Thank you for your wonderful lecture, Maharaj. My question is about the verse, and I hope it's not too linguistical. The word avoid is being used, and in correlation to God, and in my covered nature, when I have to avoid something, it would mean that I would have to make an effort. Like if I'm on the street and a car is about to approach me, and I have to avoid it, I would have to make an effort in order to avoid it. But God, I don't think, needs to make an effort to avoid material energy. Could you explain something about that and how God should have to avoid material nature?
How we should avoid. Can you tell us in which context that was given?
Yeah, it's this verse.
This particular
Yeah.
shloka.
Yeah.
Okay. Causing me great distress. All right. We're asking the Lord, the prayers here by Sridhar Swami, let me I'm asking of you, O Lord, make the effort to make Maya back off. So sometimes we are asking Krishna to make the effort. But for us to put in the request, that also takes some effort. I mean, it's kind of communication. Communication with Krishna. And so, yeah, we're asking Krishna to help, isn't it? Always it's like that with the Maha Mantra. We're asking him, can you be active? You put me in a situation where I can be engaged. And once I'm engaged, I'm out of the illusory energy. So that's the way I would just interpret that. It is an interpretation. I think this verse is like full of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yesterday, I was reading fourth canto, the story of King Puranjana, and in one of the purports, Prabhupada, something that caught my attention was Prabhupada mentions how out of these 9 processes, the first 7 are, basically in practicing bhakti, and the last 2, the friendship and Atmanivedanam, are in Raganuga or spontaneous devotional service. If you could say something on that, that was really interesting. And one more question. We always see you walking. You're known as a walking Swami. Maybe you could tell us how this helps you in your devotional service.
Okay, should we start with that one first? Okay. Well, I got inspired. Srila Prabhupada was, we saw him going on morning walks. And it all started in New York when, I think Memorial Day weekend. And he was having heart palpitations, and the doctor came over and gave some advice. First of all, he was a little critical. He said, I don't know if Maharaj, you were there, but when Prabhupada was ill in New York. And the doctor said, I'll tell you what the problem is. He's praying too much. The devotees got a little irritated. And so basically what he was saying is that get a balance, walk some, get out there and do something for yourself. Take care of yourself, I was in Ohio and I was walking in the United States, and I was on a trail, and there was another trail, and a woman was on the trail, I was on the trail. We kind of merged together. We obviously ended up talking to each other. So she, I was the one that was maybe a little more, more senior and taller and everything. And I thought maybe she'd be a little intimidated by a man, who looked a little strange in the conservative part of America. So I said, well, how are you today? I'm doing fine. So we're walking. Do you do this every day, this walking? Yes, I do. Can I ask you, why are you doing this? He said, I'm walking so that I can be in good shape to serve my Lord and my community. And I think that was just a perfect answer. And, so it's an opportunity to meet people when you get outside. Every time, it's a magical experience when you go out there as a devotee. That same day in Ohio, one guy, he was in a pickup truck, truck. But it was like one of those muscle trucks, like something that had some substance to it, And he actually was like a corporate guy. He had like a shirt and a tie and all that. And he said, so, and you could feel his energy, his vibration. He was very much in the mode of passion. He said, okay, so I see you're a monk. Can you give me some wisdom? And I could tell by his vibrations. And again, because I'm out there, therefore you draw people, you attract them, right? I said, well, okay, 2 things that come to my mind. I said, first of all, when you're in a human body, the body is meant for walking. So therefore we must invest time into walking. And the other thing about the human body is we have the facility, being in a human body, to understand everything about ourselves. We have the capacity to go inward, And that we need to do. We need to try to understand ourselves better and get connected with the Great Spirit. So he liked that. Hey, that's great. Give me a $20 bill and so that's the way it works. You just got to be out there, and people will. You know, somebody asked me, Nancy, she was 79, and she was a journalist, and we thought she was 97, because when you say it in Dutch, what is it? Nega, yes, reversed. And I thought, oh, you're 97? Oh my God. Okay, she's still working. And we got to talking about my experiences that when you're kind of walking alone, it kind of invites people. There's something attractive about a lone monk walking, although it's not always advised, don't be alone too long. And but once you have a bunch of people around you, they don't stop and talk anymore. They, oh, he's taken care of. Oh, they look interesting. They got their thing. I got my thing. But once you're kind of like on the road alone, there's maybe a mixed feeling of self-pity. Oh, maybe he needs some food. I got to feed the monk. You know, that type of thing. So I'm out there for myself. It's selfish. I'm out there to be a sannyasi, you know, to meet people and to let the weather beat on my ego, and that's what it does. You know, you got to take it all in. So there's many benefits behind walking, and I oftentimes dedicate a day of walking to someone who's passed away or someone, it's their birthday, or we always try to pinpoint a day like that. So you work with a cause, or walk with a cause, walk with an intent. Yeah. And what was the first question? Oh yeah, the 9 processes of devotional service. Yeah, the first 7 that we, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, and then ending with Dasyam. Yeah, they're more related to, let's say, the beginning stages of bhakti. And then following rules and regulations, the rigors of devotional life. And then finally, the last 2 would indicate Raganuga, which is, you know, more about sweet surrender that we're talking about. But one thing to keep in mind is that you go back to the first, you always have the first one, the first 2, the ones that brought you into this whole devotional program must be sustained, you know, hearing and chanting. Something that always has to be there. Just your approach is different. Let's say your realizations have been enhanced later on, but the practice is the same. Okay, so is that okay? Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, related to this question, I had another follow-up question, that when we make a little progress, then, as you said, our realizations get enhanced and our understanding evolves. So when we come to this new enhanced understanding or evolved understanding, how do we still maintain a memory of what it was like so that we can have empathy for those who are new or who are coming in? How do we maintain that memory fresh in our mind?
Here's how I'll answer that. In 1974, I was in New Vrindavan, and I received my second initiation there. Brahmananda Swami at the time was doing the yajna, the fire ceremony. But Prabhupada was sitting there on the chair, and it was outside. I got initiated outside with Prabhupada there. Wow. Okay, so there's one thing that Prabhupada said in his statement, in his delivery, his class, basically. He said that, remember what you were doing before, and now what you are doing now. He was more or less saying, analyze a little bit. And with that analysis, I'm not paraphrasing, I'm just helping you to understand what I get out of it. When you look at what you have achieved, you develop a sense of gratitude. Right. So gratefulness is something that really kicks in devotional service. When you do that kind of reflection. So it's important to do that once in a while. Think a little bit about what it was like, what you were doing before. There's things that will remind you, oh yeah, I was doing that before. What was I thinking? So it's very healthy, it's very wholesome to do that. I mean, our mind we're wired in such a way that we tend to think about the past. We spend maybe a third of our day thinking about our past, maybe another third about the future. And we should definitely spend a lot of time about the here and the now. Just reflecting on those things should bring about a sense of gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. Then you'll be very wholesome, very solid in Krishna consciousness when there's gratitude. And the other way, if there's no gratitude, then you're always going to be complaining. You'll always be whining. Oh, this kind of thing. Somebody should come to you and say, oh, would you like some cheese with your wine? Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes.
So Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Hare Krishna. Yeah. So one of the things that was mentioned in the lecture also is that of being humble, and it's a very heavy thing because I think almost all devotees struggle with being humble, and sometimes we act and act being humble. So how do you actually practice? They say practice makes perfect, but how do you actually practice being humble, that one day you are actually genuinely humble, and that would help you?
Well, I guess you can look at the grass and look at somebody step on the grass. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving the visuals, I did mention earlier, perform acts of humility, take up a task that nobody wants to do, but must be done. I think that helps a lot. You don't want, the mind is always resisting. There's desires that creep in, set in. But do what needs to be done. Do the needful, do the necessary. I think that's where humility is truly realized, doing what needs to be done. So, whatever form that takes, I mean, we're all individual, but there's some things that we resist. Others get really excited about. Just like cleaning. You know how therapeutic cleaning is? So powerful. And it was something Prabhupada would always go around, check out things. You just feel good when you clean. It could be the car. Have you gone into devotees' cars before? Oh my God. Some of the temples, some of the houses. We could do better. How about this? When you come into a temple and you've got shoe shelves there, there's shelves for the shoes. Are the shoes in the shelves? No. Maybe it might be an act of humility to, I don't know why we hesitate. So on one of the walks that I did, I went to a yoga studio, because they're they love to hear about your tales from trails and chanting. They love the chanting especially. This one lady, she said, I don't know what it is. I found this beautiful, shelving unit for all the shoes, but all my yoga students, they never put the shoes in the shoe shelves. What's the problem? So I don't know why we hesitate. But I think where it hurts a little bit, you'll overcome these things that we are apprehensive about. Just do it. Get it done. Do it. Anything else? I think that's about it. What's next? Oh, extra chanting. Okay. Okay. Looks like there's some options here. Prabhu, I want to thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatirubhyascha kripa sandhivevata patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Depends what it is. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll check with the boys.
I can close like this. Until 1 of them.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll go.
You go?
Yeah.
Daaronder. Ja. Gewoon zo en dan daaronder.
Sometimes the biggest problems we have is just staying inside. Praying and chanting is okay. We got
Some